Welcome once again to the official Colorado Sports Hall of Fame podcast. I am Dave Plati.
And I'm Tim Simmons, sitting in for the vacationing Jim Sacamano. And we are your co hosts with over 90 years of experience working in Colorado sports. Myself at CSU Pueblo, Colorado State, the Denver Nuggets, and CU, among others. And David, obviously, with the CU Buffs. And he had many other experiences, which we will not go into at this time. We'll also be joined later in this podcast by Gary Ozzello, who invested over 4 decades at CSU. And again, I'm honored to be with both gentlemen since they were students of mine. Gary in the mid 1970s at CSU, and David at the end of 1970 and early 1980 at CU.
When he joins us, that'll bring us closer to 135 years in the state.
That's a lot of years.
We're continuing our reveal of 150 significant moments in Colorado sports history. The state's 150th birthday is fast approaching August 1st, the date in 1876 that Colorado was admitted to the Union as the 38th state. A veteran committee ranked the top 50 of those moments, all called from over 2,000 that have been collected. Those are ranked by 19 people with over 800 years of experience covering and/or working in Colorado sports. We've been counting down at a rate of 5 per week, and we will do daily for the top 10 from the end of July.
We're already covered number 26 through 150 in our previous podcast, and now we're on to the top 50 moments that were debated and then actually ranked by the committee. We are revealing today number 21 through 25 in the podcast. For the first 100, our intent was to cover all areas of states and most, if not all, sports. But each one of those are very significant moments in the centennial history of sports.
That would be true. Well, all are archived on the Colorado Sports Hall of Fame website, along with all our podcasts. Just go to coloradosports.org, click on the menu bar, and then top 150 moments or the podcast. But first, we always revisit some of the other moments in Colorado sports history that aren't in those top 150. These moments are identified chronologically, signifying their importance at the time and that had a significant impact on the state's sports scene. For example,
on February 9th, 1963, center Bill Green scored a CSU record 48 points in the Rams' 79-57 win over the Denver Pioneers in Fort Collins at the old gym on College Avenue. He made 15 of 26 field goals, 18 of 20 free throws. He grabbed 8 rebounds, and he came up 2 points short of the state's collegiate best. Green would finish third in the nation in scoring average at 28.2 average, and he also was drafted 9th overall by the Boston Celtics in the first round of the 1963 draft. Gary, you have a comment on Bill?
I do. Was fortunate to meet him in 1989. Bill was only spent 1 year with the Boston Celtics. His fear of flying was so great, and his roommate was Bill Russell, but his fear of flying was so great, he quit after 1 year, became an educator in New York City, won numerous awards for, he was a principal at several schools.
All right, let's go back to July 1, 1979. University of Colorado junior Mary Decker, who I believe I said hi to once, and I can't remember if she said hi back, set the world record in the mile for a female, running in a time of 4:23.5 in the media champions in Philadelphia. She nipped the previous mark of 4:23.8 by Romania's Natalascu Marasescu, I guess that's how you pronounce it, also besting the American record of 4:28.2, a full 5 seconds, by Francie LaRue 2 years earlier.
On March 8, 1969, in their 5th appearance in the NCAA tournament, Colorado State recorded its first ever win, beating the Dayton Flyers 52-50 in a first-round game in Fort Worth, Texas. The Kerr twins led the Rams. Lloyd scoring 17 points, Floyd grabbing 11, scoring 11, and with the game tied at 49, Lloyd Kerr stole a pass with under a minute to go on the foul. He made 1 of 2 free throws, and the Rams went on to win. Next week in the regional, the Rams upset Colorado 64-56 in the Sweet 16 before falling to Drake in the Elite Eight, 84-77.
And here's something I dug up on June 30th, 1874. That's 1874. The Denver Bloodstock Association's Bloodstock Fair opened, 5 days of showing thoroughbred cattle divided into 5 groupings of purebred cattle: the Shorthorns, the Herefords, the Devons, the Jersey and Ayrshires, and the Galloways. A purse offered 15 grand in prizes. This eventually morphed into the National Western Stock Show. How's that for some research?
This is Mark Johnson, voice of the Colorado Buffaloes. As we count down the greatest moments in Colorado sports history, it's worth remembering that great sports moments don't just happen. They're built on preparation, resilience, and staying healthy. And in Colorado, a great sports moment can mean something different to everyone, from Hall of Fame athletes to anyone who simply wants to keep moving. Whether you're chasing championships, personal bests, or just a pain-free morning run, the team at CU Sports Medicine and Performance Center delivers exceptional sports medicine care, from prevention and recovery to performance. Founded right here in Boulder, the CU Sports Medicine and Performance Center brings together CU medicine providers and Boulder community health clinicians to provide comprehensive care that's close to home and rooted in the community they serve. Learn more at cusportsmedicincenter.com.
And now, on with the countdown.
The greatest moments in state of Colorado sports history. Number 25.
On July 26, 1996, Inglewood native and Colorado State alumna Amy Van Dyken won her 4th gold medal in the '96 Summer Games in Atlanta, the first American woman to win 4 golds in swimming in the same Olympiad. 11 had won 3 prior. She claimed gold in the 50-meter freestyle, the 100-meter butterfly, and teamed with others to win the 4x100 freestyle and 4x100 medley relays. The first American woman to earn 4 medals in a single Olympics, she was honored upon her return to the parade in downtown Denver. She would compete again in the 2000 Games of Sydney, where she won 2 more golds, competing on the relay teams.
The greatest moments in state of Colorado sports history. Number 24.
On February 23rd, 2025, in a World Cup skiing event in Italy, Michaela Schifrin won the slalom, her 100th World Cup victory, coming the first skier, male or female, to record 100 wins in Alpine World Cup competition. It was her 278th race. It was also her 155th top 3 finish, tying Swedish legend Ingemar Stidmark through the 2025-26 season. She has totaled 110 victories, 73 in the slalom, and she was inducted into the Colorado Sports Hall of Fame in 2025.
The greatest moments in state of Colorado sports history. Number 23.
On November 15th, 1972, this is one of those moments that might not be considered great, but it's definitely significant. A grassroots organization against bringing the '76 Olympics to Colorado at taxpayer expense was formed in July. It was called the Citizens for Colorado's Future, or the CCF, submitted a petition with over 77,300 signatures to the Secretary of State to get an initiative on the '72 Election Day ballot, stating no city or state funds shall be permitted to fund the Olympics. It passed with 60% of the vote, and Denver officially withdrew its bid on that November date in 1972.
The greatest moments in state of Colorado sports history. Number 22.
From July 28th through August 4th, 2012, 17-year-old Missy Franklin from Regis Jesuit High School, won 5 medals, 4 golds in swimming at the Summer Olympics in London. She won the 100 and 200-meter backstroke events. She was on the winning 4x400 medley relay team, the 4x200 medley freestyle relay team, and those claimed gold. And she also won a bronze in the 4x100 meter freestyle relay unit. And obviously, she was a 2019 inductee into the Colorado Sports Hall of Fame.
The greatest moments in state of Colorado sports history. Number 21.
On June 8th, 2021, Nugget center Nikola Jokic was named the NBA's most valuable player for the 2021 season, the first Nugget to ever win the award. In his seventh season after being selected 41st in the 14 draft, he averaged 26.4 points, 10.99 rebounds, and 8.4 assists, just the third player at the time to average 26, 10, and 8 over a full season in league history, and he recorded 16 triple-doubles, kind of a low number for him back then. He collected 91 out of a possible 100 first-place votes in the media voting. He repeated as the MVP in 21-22, just the 13th player to win the honor in back-to-back seasons, and has since won it a third time. Now, at this time, we'd like to bring back Gary Ozzello.
Thank you, Dave. Pleasure. I'm honored and humbled to be on this podcast with great people. Amy, Tim, Todd. This is very special.
And he kind of hinted at our special guest. We'd like to bring our guest for this podcast, none other than Amy Van Dyken, six-time gold medal winner in swimming in the Olympics. And with Gary subbing for Sacco, we're reuniting Amy with her college sports information director. Thanks for joining us, Amy.
Thanks for having me, you guys. It's good to be here.
Well, it's a pleasure for you to join us. Now, you were born in Inglewood, went to Cherry Creek High School, but first attended the University of Arizona for 2 years before transferring back to CSU. Why UA first, and what made you come home to Colorado?
Well, I wanted, as a Colorado girl, I was done with the winters. I was done with the snow. And the University of Arizona at the time had a highly ranked swim team. And they offered me a scholarship. And I was like, oh my gosh, I have to take this. So I took it and I went there for 2 years. And the best decision I ever made in the entire history of the world was going back to Colorado State University. And it's actually kind of funny. I don't know if a lot of people know this. John Matos didn't even know that I was coming back to Colorado State until he ran into me at orientation. And he said, hey, Ames, if you give me 6 months of swimming, I'll pay for your whole year of school. If you don't like it, you can quit. But if you still love it, promise me that you keep swimming. And I was like, oh, yeah, I'm not smart, but I can figure that math out. And so I figured it out. And at the end of the year, we ended up making some great history together. So that man and that decision changed my life forever.
Well, Amy, you mentioned John Matos. It didn't take you long at Colorado State to start setting records, not just school or NCAA records, but American records. You were an NCAA champ with a couple other close calls. Can you talk to us a little bit about what that meant at that time and even now?
Well, I think, when I look back, it was totally life-changing. I had beaten my rival, Jenny Thompson, in the 50 free, and it kind of started me on a path where after the World Championships in 94, where John was a coach on that team, I had gone unbeaten in the 50 free up until 1997. So it started like a whole whirlwind of amazingness for me. And then when I didn't want to swim again after 96, going into 2000, because I was so injured, I went back to swim with John because he was such a great coach. And I trained at Colorado State University in that pool that has not been changed since 1968, and qualified for 3 more events and won 2 more gold medals. And, I was so proud. And to look back at the history, knowing that team, we had 5 girls and we ended up 12th at the NCAAs. So that was a really big feat. John got coach of the year. I got swimmer of the year. And I just really think that it jump-started Colorado State's swimming program, if you will, that really had kind of a lull right there in the early 90s. And then after that, it just took off. So I'm really proud of what John and I did in that team. And it's just awesome to look back on.
So after graduation, you moved to the Springs and trained at the U.S. Olympic Training Center. Imagine that was probably grueling being in the pool for 12 hours a day. And probably no shrinkage issues like in Seinfeld, but when did you find out, or how did you find out you made the Olympic team, or was that a matter of a lot of high finishes?
Yeah, no shrinkage, but yes, lots of swimming. um, so to make the Olympic team for swimming, you go to one swim meet. It's the Olympic trials, and you have to win your event in order to make the team. And if so many people win their events and make multiple events, then they take the top two in each event. And so I was lucky enough to qualify for 5 events. And it's probably the most, and even being on deck now when I call the swim meets for, NBC and all of that, it is one of the most stressful swim meets that you have ever been to. There are so many emotions. People who thought they would make the team because they either have American records or world records end up not making the team. So you've got emotion from that. You've got the highs of people who were unexpected making the team, mixed in with those lows. So it really is a pressure-filled swim meet. And if you have never been to that swim meet and you go in thinking that you can make the Olympics, you've got to be really super good. I always tell people that if they ever qualify, they have to go at least once, because then they'll get those nerves out and they'll understand what the meet is. But yeah, it's one swim meet over 7 days, and that's it.
How many hours were you in the pool at training?
Up at Colorado Springs, I was in the pool for about, about 6 hours a day, 5 to 6 hours a day, and then another hour of weight training. And yeah, it was a lot. It was a full-time job, that's for sure. And if you think about it, my longest race was 59 seconds. So you can only imagine the people who were distance swimmers, the amount of hours that they were putting in the pool. It's absolutely mind-blowing.
Wow.
Well, Amy, that got you to Atlanta, where you became the first American woman to win 4 gold medals in a single Olympic Games, either summer or winter. You added 2 more in 2000 in Sydney. Do you have a favorite that stands out for you?
I mean, obviously, I would say the 4th in Atlanta, right? Yeah, that's obvious. But actually, my favorite was the 100 butterfly in Atlanta, because I was not the best butterflyer in the country, let alone the world. And I was swimming up against the world record holder. And she had won everything, I think, since birth. And it was really, it was one of those things where I was asked if I wanted to pull out of the race before the Olympics. And I just felt something in my gut. I was like, no, I made the team. I think I'm going to continue on. And I did. And so that one became my favorite, because I really shouldn't have been in that race, but I was. And it helped me break that record, obviously, which at this point, 30 years later, it's only been tied, even by the amazing Missy Franklin, and the outstanding Katie Ledecky. So it's an honor that I still hold today. And it's something that I just think is amazing. And I think in 2028, it needs to be broken.
Well, Amy, I think our listeners will know that you were featured after the Olympics on a Wheaties box, correct?
Yes, I was.
I still have that box of Wheaties in my storage unit.
Oh, no. I hope you don't have the cereal in there, Gary.
No.
Okay, good.
Just the box.
Oh, my goodness. Yeah, that was an honor. I have to tell you, though, I always tell people when I give speeches to practice your winning face, because you don't often practice your winning face. And I definitely did not. I mean, that Wheaties box would have looked so much better with a cute little smile or a thumbs up. But instead, for 30 years, I've been signing a Wheaties box that has my tongue sticking out. So practice your winning faces, everybody.
Good to know.
We're going to go from a cereal box to, how did it feel to be selected as one of the top 10 women of 1996 by Glamour magazine and be on the cover of so many other magazines?
Yeah, the Glamour Women of the Year was outstanding. It's still today, you look back and you see all the women that are winning it today. And I'm just blown away that I'm in that group that has been honored with that. So that was really cool. And yeah, to be on the cover of a magazine is wild. I remember being on the cover of, I think it was People. I was also on I can't even remember what it was, but back then the paparazzi were really big. That was before the internet. So it was on some tabloid magazine. And that is wild when you go through the grocery store and you're buying things like Snickers bars, ice cream, Coke, and you see yourself on a magazine and you rethink your choices in your cart, that maybe you should change that. But it is really cool to be able to say that I was one of Glamour's, top 10 women of all time. And I guess in 96, it was so cool. And the trophy is the coolest thing ever. It's really beautiful.
So you're going through the checkout line. You didn't see National Enquirer headline, Olympic medalist dating alien from Mars.
No, but that would have been so cool because then my mom would have read it. She loved the National Enquirer back in the day. She never missed a magazine of it. She just loved it so much. So, no, I never got abducted by aliens, and I never married an alien. Well, I don't know. That's debatable, Plati, because you guys know my husband. It is debatable if I married an alien.
Well, Amy, you had all those honors and medals. Where do you keep your medals?
I don't know if I should tell you guys. So I love it when I'm able to go and speak to a group of kids. And what I do is I bring them with me. So my gold medals are in Scottsdale, Arizona, in a Colorado State University backpack, of course, duh, in a closet. So that's where I keep them. And I do that. I used to have the first 4 gold medals framed with my swimsuit, my cap, my goggles from the 96 Olympics. But I took that all out of the shadow box because it's really cool when you see someone who's never seen a gold medal, like hold one. And then when I tell them to put it on, they freak out. So I love being able to show people that and to show them that really anything is possible if you work hard enough and if you believe in yourself hard enough. So that's what I do with them now. I will say nobody except for the CEO of McDonald's at the time. We were shooting a commercial and I was right in the middle of my line and we heard a big clank and then oh crap. And I looked over and he dropped one of them on the floor. So it dented it. I got free McDonald's for quite some time after that. But yeah, that's the only time it's ever been dropped.
Here's an outside the box question. You were the 4th woman swimmer to win 4 or more gold medals in a single games, but the 3 before you swam for East Germany. Any discussion amongst the swimming community that those 3 East Germans were on steroids?
I think that there has always been that conversation, of course. And we've had some, great swimmers in America that should have won, more than 3 gold medals. But unfortunately they didn't because of the East Germans. And I think, it's hard to look at somebody and say, oh, they're doing steroids unless they actually test positive. So to say that is kind of, I don't know, it makes me a little bit uncomfortable, but also at the same time, all the things that have come out about the East German team and, women having so many problems now because of their steroid use, I think that I can confidently say that they were probably all on steroids. Also looking at their bodies, they looked like male bodybuilders. And I really am sad that it took away a lot of opportunity that not just the Americans had in those Olympics, but the rest of the world. And, you wonder how many other records would have been broken by Americans. And, maybe I would have been chasing 5 gold medals instead of the 3. You never know.
Okay, so let's go back inside the box. You retired from swimming and became a triathlete. Assume swimming was your best event of the 3, but what was that like for you? And did either of the other 2 events become a favorite?
Yeah, I loved the biking. I absolutely loved it. I would go on 100-mile bike rides. My husband would follow in his moped that he had from his days at CU. And then he would complain how he was tired and his butt hurt, which was very odd to me since he was on a moped and I was on a bicycle. Anyway, it was a lot of fun. I really loved it. I loved the community of triathlon or triathletes, pardon me. They really are cool people. And I wish that I could have continued that. But unfortunately, I had a terrible dancing accident when I was training for the Ironman in Kona. And I blew my knee out. So that dream died very quickly. But it was a lot of fun. And I still, even though I'm a paraplegic, I still love to get out on my bike and ride.
Amy, you mentioned that you're a paraplegic. And one of the things that I want to share with this group and our listeners is there is a street on the Colorado State University campus, Amy Van Dyken Way, that was dedicated several years ago. But tell us about your accident and what you've done since. I got to hear Amy speak to the Canvas. We call it the Can Fam. It's an all-employee gathering, and Amy was our keynote speaker last October and was absolutely phenomenal.
Oh, thanks, Gary. That was a fun time. That was a lot of fun. I like that group. But yeah, my accident, it happened. I was on vacation. I was working at Fox Sports Radio in Los Angeles. And at the time, I was the only female voice on a show on the network. So, it was really an honor to be able to do that. But we went on vacation and went to a place in Arizona. And it's one of those places, it's a golf course community. So, you don't drive your car really. And that night I had come home from CrossFit and the girls forced me to run a mile with them. And I look back and I'm so thankful that they did. Went home and we decided we were going to go out to dinner. And I rode my ATV and my husband rode his motorcycle. And I don't know what happened because I had a really bad brain injury in the accident, as well as breaking almost everything else. But I got on my ATV and Tom got on his motorcycle and something wasn't going right with his motorcycle. So he was kind of messing around with it and he told me to go ahead, which was unusual because he always went in front of me. But if he would have done that, he wouldn't have found me and I wouldn't have been here. He said he looked up and he was like, "What is she doing?" And there wasn't any movement and not even a flicker of a brake light. And I hit a curb, just like curbs out on the street. I went over a 6-foot cliff and my back wrapped around a tree. And then when I landed, the ATV kind of bonked on my head. And he ran over and looked down and saw from that high up that my back was broken. And when he got down to me, I wasn't breathing. So Tom actually got me breathing again. And then Flight for Life came in and got me. And at the time, they weren't even worried about my back. They were worried about my head injury. And they told Tom that I would probably never remember who he was. But then when I got to the trauma center, the doctor that was there, thank goodness he was there, because I was told that other doctors would have just made me comfortable. So you know what that means. And it was a really tricky surgery because when I dislocated, I was like, if you take a hair off of your head and cut it in half, that's how far away my vertebrae was from my aorta when it dislocated. So if I would have been moved wrong or Tom gave me chest compressions, anything like that, I would have bled out. So the doctor shut down that trauma center and any trauma center he could have been called to, because he was like, I have to fix this girl. I have to fix her. And thank goodness he was there. I came out of surgery about 9.5 hours later, having lips like Angelina Jolie because you're face down and they tilt you downwards. And from that moment on, I've just realized that I do have a big voice and a lot of people in my community do not. And so I wanted to use my voice to share with the world some of the trials and tribulations that we go through. Having to live in a world that isn't made for us, but yet we're supposed to be happy because we have the ADA. It gets kind of frustrating. So I vent that out and I have a really good time doing it. And I've met some amazing other paraplegics, quadriplegics, people with MS, ALS, all the things. And I'll tell you what, I am so proud to be a part of that community because they are a bunch of tough, strong, powerful people.
That's an incredible story, and it's amazing how positive you've remained through all this.
Oh, thanks. Yeah, it's, you know what? I will tell you what, though, every day is not a great day. I mean, if you think about being paralyzed and everything that is in your body that is below your belly button, we won't go into detail, but it's kind of daunting. And usually people, with paralysis don't end up passing away from paralysis. They end up passing away from one of the other secondary things that happen to us. And so, I just try to be as positive as I can because I'm not supposed to be here. I died quite a few times in that accident. And I'm happy every single day that I can wake up and drive my husband nuts.
And speaking of that, I suspect you knew this question was going to come up. How in the world did you get together with Tom Ruin? Was it his good looks, his All-American honors, or did you feel sorry for him that he punted to the Rocket in the Orange Bowl?
The Rocket, that story is the best. No, it was absolutely his good looks. So yeah, I met Tom. It was after a preseason football game. I think it was in 97 or 98. It was 98. They had just won their first Super Bowl. And I went to the Chop House in Denver to go meet some friends, and I heard that Tom was there. And I was like, oh, that's awesome. I would love to talk to him. Ended up meeting him like where the bathrooms are because I was talking to the manager, and Tom came up and said hi. And he says that the meeting was like two bulls about ready to lock horns, which it kind of was. And then he said, well, I'm going to go eat dinner now. I'll talk to you later. And I was like, gosh, that guy is really handsome. And he ended up coming out and talking to me. And we figured out we lived across Yosemite from each other. So it was wild. And yeah, he's amazing. He's such a great athlete. You know, he was a baseball player actually also, as well as playing football in high school. And he actually went to San Diego State to play baseball and, you know, just kind of fell out of love with it and was watching the punter. And he was like, well, I can do better than that. And, you know, he goes on to win All-American honors and be a part of that national championship football team up at CS or up at CU. I'd love to say CSU, but CU. Yeah, he's a great guy. He's also really annoying. And Mark Schlereth talks about this a lot because he's such a good athlete that anything that he tries, he's really super good at. And it drives me up a wall. The only thing that I'm better at him at is cross-country skiing. And it frustrated him so badly. He thought that it was his equipment. So he had to run out and get better equipment to try to beat me in cross-country skiing. And it didn't work. So it to this day drives him nuts. If you ever see him and want to really get under his skin, bring that up.
And I'm writing a book about my time at CU, and a chapter I've got untold stories. So I'll briefly relay what really happened on that punt that people forget. He was told it was 2nd and 7. McCartney told him to just punt the ball out of the end zone. It was like 2nd and 7. We were at like the 25. Well, the next play was a rushing loss, and CJ got sacked, or excuse me, CJ got sacked in the next two plays. And then on 4th down, we took a delay of game penalty because he was told to do that. So it went from being 2nd and like 7 to 4th and 32, and his instructions were still to punt it out of the end zone. Well, now he's punting from our 45 at sea level to get it out of the end zone. That would have been like a 60-yard punt. He's got to remember how far he's backed up on the line of scrimmage. Actually, closer to a 70-yard punt, I think. So that's what really happened on that punt. It was absolutely not his fault. It was a communication error. So
that is absolutely true. Yes. So Tom has a story about it as well, but that's for him to tell. But yeah, he did exactly what he was told to do. And oops.
Amy, what did it mean to you to be one of the first women inducted into the Colorado Sports Hall of Fame? You were inducted in 2001. There were only 7 other females inducted prior to you joining the Hall of Fame.
Yeah, that was such an honor. And I was blown away. And it meant so much to me that Tom and I actually delayed going to our wedding. We got married in Kauai. We delayed going so that we could go to that dinner, that event, the induction. And we left for our wedding the next day. So yeah, it meant a lot to me, and it still means a lot to me to this day. And I look at all of the other women who are in there and who have gone in after me. And, you know, again, I look at them and I'm just in awe of everything that they've done. So to be a part of that and to be a part of that history means so much. I do think it would be really cool if Tom, who also went to high school in Colorado and had, you know, all state honors, would also get inducted. We might be the first married couple to both be inducted.
And that's our next question. Hopefully one day Tom will join you, because right now, I think the only couple that comes to mind are Connie Carpenter and Davis Finney. So he said that would be pretty cool.
Yeah, it would be really, really great. So, you know, we keep pushing for it, and we'll see. I mean, you know, he was a consensus All-American up at CU, which was a pretty big deal. And, you know, he's done a lot since, been a part of 2 Super Bowl winning teams and 1 second place team. So, you know, he's done a lot in his athletic career. And I think, you know, if you look back at his high school career and of course his college career, we know about his pro career, but he really did a lot athletically. And so for him to be able to be a part of that, I think would not only be deserving, but I think that it would be really, really neat to share that with him.
Amy, Tim Simmons here. Just wondering, I had a niece that swam in high school, and I've got 2 great nieces that are in swimming in, I guess, junior high. Has the sport, the swimming for women, changed much from the time you were competing in the mid 90s. Has it changed much today in the training? What have you seen as different?
Oh, so much is different. And I'm so envious of these kids. So we used to have to do 2-a-days every single day. And now someone who swims my event would probably do maybe 1 or 2-a-days a week. They've really cut down on the yardage and pounding the yardage down their throats. And they work a lot more on technique, and they work a lot more on how to gain more power in the water. And when you watch these women swim now, you can absolutely see that. You can see how powerful they are. You can see how strong they are. They do a lot more race readiness training than we did, which means you put on a fast suit and you go as fast as you can in practice in your event. And I really think that that helps build their neuromuscular system, and their neurons know how to fire, because when you swim so many yards, I don't want to say slow because we weren't slow, but not at race pace. And then you taper down and you shave and you put on the fast suit and you get to a swim meet. Sometimes when you feel the speed that you're putting out, it was like shocking to your system. But now they're really learning how to do that. So it's not a shock to the system. Their body knows exactly what they're doing. And if you look at what's going on right now, it's incredible in swimming. I'm the only American woman to have won the 50 freestyle. And I can honestly, in my heart of hearts, say this year, there will be another American woman that wins the 50-meter freestyle, because we have so many great sprinters, as well as distance swimmers, obviously Katie Ledecky, and, the list goes on. But it's fun to see how fast these women can go in the middle of the year. We only went fast like once a year. And so to see them be able to just crank it out anytime they want to, it is so much fun. It brings so much excitement to the sport. And I'm really excited to see what the ladies do in 28 in LA. I think the women's swim team is going to put on a show.
Gary, you have anything else for Amy?
No, just Amy, always great to visit with you. Thanks for all you do. Best to you and Tom.
Gary, thank you so much. I adore you, and I love spending time with you up at CSU, and it's always good when we run into each other. I just think that you are perfection. So thank you so much.
Thank you.
I have one more question. With the advent of stadium swimming now, because they take them into big things, what do you think about that? That they just create a pool in Ball Arena?
Yeah, I know. I think that's so cool. And they're actually in 28, they're going to be swimming in SoFi Stadium. So I think it's awesome to see it. But I'm going to be honest with you. When you're there as a swimmer, it is a little different, because we are used to the crowd being on top of us at a swim meet, and it's very loud. You can hear almost every conversation in the stands. But when they put it in the stadiums, like they did in Indianapolis last year for trials, it's very quiet on the pool deck, and the crowd is a lot further away. So the swimmers kept telling us that was different for them. So, in 96, we had the shock of people actually cheering for us instead of against us. So it was a little off-putting. And just in the same way, it was a little off-putting for them that it was so quiet on the pool deck. So it does take a lot to get used to. I think it's amazing that the sport has grown so much that they can fill up those stands. And I am really super proud of USA Swimming and all of their athletes for bringing the sport to where it is, so that we can be swimming in SoFi Stadium in 2028. That is so wild.
Well, Amy, we do appreciate the time you took to join us today. Hope you enjoyed it as much as we did.
I absolutely did. You guys are just so wonderful. Plati, you know how I feel about you. I just think the world of you. And of course, Gary and Tim, it was so nice to meet you. You guys are a riot. And I thank you so much for having me on your podcast.
I just wonder how much is it going to cost for swimming lessons for my great nieces?
You know what, Tim? I may know somebody that'll just throw it in there because you've been so nice to me.
Okay. Thank you very much.
Thanks, guys.
Good night,
And
everyone.
another example of there's actually love between CU and CSU.
Good
Well,
point.
everybody, we hope you are continuing to enjoy our podcast and reminiscing with our trips down memory lane in Colorado sports history. Let's thank our sponsors, Pasta J's at 10th and Pearl Street in Boulder, CU Sports Medicine, Tim's Colorado Collegiate Chronicle, and Mark Johnson, the voice of the buzz, for introducing each moment's number. Tune in next week for the reveal of the state's 150 moments as we count down numbers 16 through 20. And that's a wrap on our podcast number 35.